You guys asked, I will deliver. Let's talk about parts of our body that have been named misogynistically. And this time we are going global, so we're not just sticking with English words. Number one, we have none other than the vagina. The English word vagina comes from the Latin word that means a sword's sheath. And if you don't know what a sheath is, it is essentially that like leather pocket that you put the sword in. So basically a holder for a sword. And you can guess that the sword in this context is the male genitalia. So basically they named our body part as just the holder for the man's parts. Number two is not a body part. However, it was a diagnosis specifically for women, and that diagnosis was female hysteria. The word hysteria comes from the Greek word hystera, which means uterus. So why did they name us being crazy after our uterus? Well, that is because they believed, starting from the early 1600s, that our uterus wandered the body and strangled other organs and made us crazy. So they diagnosed women with female hysteria. So essentially, you could be suffering from depression, trauma, chronic pain, sexual frustration, and the doctors would blanketly say that you have female hysteria, and they would treat women with everything from leeches on their abdomen to forced pelvic massages, and sometimes forcing women into marriages to solve this issue, and as well as tranquilizers. And hysteria was actually a catch-all diagnosis up until 1952. Which isn't even 100 years ago, where women were still being diagnosed with female hysteria. Next, we have some German words, so excuse me if I'm not saying them correctly, but we have three key words that stem from the same thing, and that is shame. There's Schamlippen, Schambein, and Schamhaar. And Schamlippen translates to shame lips, Schambein translates to shame bone, and Schamhaar translates to shame hair. So Schamhaar is used to describe pubic hair, Schambein is used to describe the pubic bone, and Schamlippen is used to describe the labia. But they outright say that this is shameful, and they use it right there in its name. And this is also true in Slavic languages such as Sramnakost and Sramnika. So in Serbian, Croatian, and other Slavic languages, Sramnakost means shame bone, and Sramnika means shameful place, where they refer to the entire vulvar region as Sramnika because they don't want to give specific anatomical and biological names for it. And again, this just shows that naming our body was built on shame globally. And for bonus, we have in French la honte and la chose. And why this matters is that these are euphemisms that were used in place of naming the female genitals directly. So these two words translate to essentially the shame or the thing. And they would just refer to down there as la honte or